Okay, so intermittent fasting is something I mentioned in my last video very briefly as something I've been kind of toying with, not really strictly practicing. But this is something I'd heard about it for a long time, and it was just it just sounded like one of those crazy fad diets, which there's so many now. You've got your keto and you've got your high carb, low fat vegan, you've got paleo, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And I just thought this was another crazy thing because who wants to fast? It doesn't sound like fun, right? We want to eat. We don't want to not eat. But I think it was after my brother mentioned it to me. My brother is a physics major, very science-minded guy, just like our father was. So, and he mentioned to me, it's like, there's actually a lot of research that's been done on fasting, and there actually is something to it. So I have looked into it, and the principles of it, I think, are very sound and actually very sensible, because basically what it means, it's not about starving yourself. It's really, to me, from the minimal extent that I've played around with it and experimented with it, that it's mainly just about teaching yourself that it's okay and actually a good thing to not eat all the time. And there actually are a lot of benefits to giving your body a break from processing and breaking down and digesting food. One of the biggest benefits is to your blood sugar levels, your insulin sensitivity, which is a big deal for me because I have a history of being pre-diabetic. And it's something that just runs in my family. It's something I'm at risk for. It's something I just recently learned. And if you think about it too, from an evolutionary perspective, our bodies did not evolve. Number one, we did not evolve to be sedentary. We were not, nature did not intend us to be sitting on our ass all day. And it certainly did not intend us to be snacking and eating all day and overeating. So our bodies are designed to go without eating for long stretches of time. That's what body fat is for. It's supposed to be stored energy that you can use when there's nothing else available. And so that's what, the whole thing about dieting is about creating a caloric deficit. So your body is forced to dip into your fat stores for energy from time to time. So you start actually burning fat instead of using the food that you're eating for energy. And if that's why you overeat, you're not going to be losing any fat. In fact, you're going to be gaining fat in the long run. So, as I said in the last video, I messed around with this. I don't do it every day, but I think that this is the way if I do it, if I get close to doing it, the way I approach it is very simple. Because most mornings when I wake up, I'm not hungry, so I will often just not eat anything until maybe lunchtime or maybe even later than that. So the most basic and most sort of reasonable version of intermittent fasting is what they call the 16-8 model, whatever you call it, where there's an 8-hour window every day where you can eat, and then a 16-hour window where you don't eat. Like for me, this is usually how it works. Like I'll eat my last meal or eat my last snack or whatever it is around midnight. Then I'll wake up the next morning, won't have breakfast, and maybe not eat until 4 in the afternoon. Or there's my 16 hours. And sometimes that can go by just like that, because if I'm not hungry, why should I eat? Why? And I talked about this before. I think it's one of the dumbest things you can do is to force yourself to eat something just because you think you're supposed to eat when you're not hungry. So in a way, that's to me like the best way to kind of get your brain around intermittent fasting, and the way you can kind of experiment with it and not make a big deal out of it. But again, I think whether you really want to practice this for real or not, I think we all stand to learn something from it, which is that it's okay to not eat all the time. And in fact, it's probably better for you if you don't. You don't have to eat 3 meals a day. It's probably in your best interest to not be snacking all the time. And so this has been a big deal for me, because I used to get so shaky and nervous before, like on a night of a show. I'm a musician, by the way, in case you're new to the channel. I'm a bass player and singer in a band called Blaggards. You can check us out in the description. I would often get really antsy if I wasn't able to get what I consider to be enough food before a show, and I would get shaky and irritable. And I have to say that doesn't happen anymore. I discovered this long before I actually kind of learned what intermittent fasting was about, but I know now that I can get by on less food and be just fine. And I think a lot of the reactions we have to not eating enough of what we consider to be enough food is, I think a lot of it probably is psychosomatic reactions. You know, that it's based on habits that we're accustomed to. And once we break those habits and move into some better habits, it becomes less of an issue. And I don't get those panicky feelings anymore. And if I haven't eaten before a show, it's like I know I can just tough it out and I can eat later. And so that sort of thing. And I think that's a good place to be, especially if you're trying to lose weight and trying to affect a permanent lifestyle change that's going to help you keep the weight off, which is what pretty much that is all about what I'm doing right now. I'm all about it, as the kids say these days. So I'm going to try and find some helpful links about intermittent fasting, and I'll put them in the show notes. So show notes is a podcasting term, in the description below, and check them out. And I'm sure I'll probably come back to this topic again on the channel, even though I'm not an intermittent faster by practice. I don't do it every day, but I do implement the principles of it, and just, not snacking all the time. Sometimes I'll skip a meal if I'm not hungry. And sometimes it's a good way for me to get back on budget if I've gone off the rails, which I did this week. There was one day where I was like kind of really stressed out, and I said, damn it, I'm just going to eat. And I kind of did that yesterday. And so today I'm just really trying to relax, and I really haven't eaten anything today so far. And it's 5:30, and I feel fine. Okay, so this is just an example of how you can use this to your advantage without practicing it religiously. Some people go crazy with it. They'll fast for days, sometimes weeks on end. I think it's great if you really want to do that, but why? So, and there's all kinds of science behind, certain benefits that don't happen, physiological benefits that won't happen until you fasted for a certain length of time. But, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, certainly not in this video. Okay, and another thing I wanted to add is that one thing that annoys me about the people who promote intermittent fasting as a practice, not all of them do this, but some of them do this, that they promote it while at the same time, they promote fasting while at the same time they dog or put down or dismiss the value of calorie counting, or using an app like Lose It, which is what I'm doing. They say, calorie counting's dumb, it's stupid, doesn't work, and it makes a lot more sense if you just do intermittent fasting. And that it just annoys me, because I'm sorry, but calorie counting does work. It has always worked. Some people have trouble with it for various reasons, but the science is sound. It's all about maintaining a caloric deficit. Fasting is just another way to do that. And you can also do fasting poorly. You can fast for 16 hours and then overeat in the 8-hour window, and you're probably not going to see any benefits to that whatsoever. You'd probably still be just as overweight. And it all comes down to, how are you going to make this caloric deficit a regular thing for you, or make it happen often enough that you're going to start losing fat. Intermittent fasting is one way to do it. Calorie counting is another, and some people do both. I'm kind of doing both. So anyway, I just wanted to say that as a caveat for looking for information online, because some of these people, they're not really giving you the best advice, I think. And so be careful. Don't even listen to what I'm saying. Find out, learn, find out for yourself. Do the research and look into it. So anyway, I'll wrap it up there, but thanks very much for watching. And if you want to keep up with my journey, I've got 25 pounds left to go, something like that. No, wait, I'm 28 pounds down now. I forgot. I suck at math. That's not what I came here to do. I didn't come here to do math for you. If you want to join me in this journey, subscribe, like the video, that helped me out, and I'll see you next time. Thanks very much.